And we're live.
Hi everyone, welcome back to another live session by Line Product. With me, I have my partner Philip Cutting, and today we would be discussing more about AI assistants, AI agents, how they have evolved over the years, and today what we can do using them, and what we can expect right now, and how they are going to evolve, and what kind of things and functionalities we are expecting in near future. So Phil, how excited are you for this session?
This is a fun topic. I like it because it's so easy to extend our capabilities with chatbots that I don't think a lot of us are taking advantage of it for the first of all low cost, the second ease of it nowadays, and how well it is at handling customer inquiries or complaints or even just taking inbound support requirements so that you can help serve people more efficiently. So I'm excited about it in the vast ways we can integrate it. And I even want to look at some options like, there's different, we'll talk about it, but what's, there's an AI chatbot solution for everybody,
Mhm.
even somebody who just wants to, take calls from grandma and make sure they don't have to worry about waking up kind of thing. Right.
Yeah.
So there's
Mhm.
a chatbot for everybody.
Yeah, true. And the really, I think the thing that we would be also paying more attention and talking more about is how they have changed over the past few years, and what's like the difference. Like we used to, use ManyChat. I think 5 years back and 5 years now, it's like a big difference. Now we have like generate answers based on generative models, and previously we used to actually you can say that somehow we used to hard code those things that the replies, what kind of replies are going to be sent more. It was likely only related to like FAQs and stuff, and based on some like generic answers, but due to the advancements in AI, we have now pretty good chatbots, and they have become, I think they have turned into like assistants who know about the business, who have knowledge about things related to your business, and if you
Yeah.
have configured them right, if you have tuned them right, given them the right amount of information, they can actually provide a lot of information to your customers, and they can create a lot of value for your business and stuff.
One thing I like about them is not just like how good they are at nowadays thinking for themselves, but how empathetic they are, right? And how
Mhm.
patient they are.
Yeah.
And really, like for them to, they can now take so via like a voice chat bot or like uh, a chat bot. It's amazing how much better some of these systems are than I am at quickly getting information, processing it, and coming up with decent questions
Mhm.
that's kind of move a conversation along. So really, I mean, like, have you ever tried to teach a person to answer some of these calls and then like mess with somebody? Right?
Mhm.
We've all had our try to, we've all had our pains and sufferings with both support and sales teams.
Yeah.
So the we used to have to try to like not just figure that out with our people, but then
Mhm.
also, then there's kind of, we started trying to introduce in the old fashioned chat bots. It was almost like a if this then that kind of scenario, right? It was
Mhm.
really like branching almost. But all that hard work is totally gone now, where we just have to give it access to some key systems,
Mhm.
protect it from critical systems, right? I still believe we don't want to let chatbots into our private draws, but
Mhm.
to give general information and your SOPs and stuff like that, and really kind of unleash it, and just kind of give it the bounds nowadays, and perhaps supervise it some, look over the transcripts and stuff, and watch it, and
Mhm.
talk to your clients to get feedback. But if you haven't tried it in person yet, I encourage anybody to go and try to find some existing models out there and just play with it. It's like if you've used ChatGPT now, it's literally the same thing. The only
Yeah.
difference that we're talking about is that you can add voice if you want, and yes, we can use voice on ChatGPT also. But you can add that functionality and have unlimited, right? I think every version of ChatGPT now has like a limit on those hours, the hours that it'll interact. Obviously, you don't want that when you're a commercial company, so you just get the API access to the Whisper and to the text to speech stuff, or tie in some of the other systems, 11 Labs, and work with it. But it's amazing, right? Like I'm starting to see people that prefer dealing with chatbots than actual people, and it's kind of like been a huge shift over the past 2 months.
Yeah, because I think the convenience that they add, and now as you were also mentioning that it's like a Chat GPT version specifically configured for your business. So as we can do any sort of conversation with GPT, and it comes up with the perspectives and answers, and then we can talk back to it to get more defined answers. If you configure your AI chatbot the right way, then you can make something very useful for your business where your customers can come and they can have like a conversation with something that is very much intelligent, and it not only gives the answers related to your business but also it has like a very large knowledge base which covers and we were having a chart where you mentioned that chat gpt is like the most it's like very much more intelligent than like all of us. So what yeah, so it adds like a lot of
Literally,
value. Yeah.
and like everybody I know.
Mhm. And we also build chatbots, and when I test those, I see, I also sometimes get amazed by it. I don't expect it to give answers that are so comprehensive, and they somehow, because it's like based on different generative models, like it could be ChatGPT, Grok, Llama, any thing you are using. So these systems are very much intelligent, and they know that the purpose of creating this chatbot is not only having a conversation but perform actions. So when you test them out, they answer the queries, and then they also understand what kind of the customer might be the customer might be interested in taking some sort of action, and they actually encourage those actions, and they try to take that conversation that into like a tunnel where it becomes more meaningful.
Yeah. Do you remember how hard it used to be to take, for example, 2 years of transcripts from phone calls, from sales calls or support calls, and then to
Mhm.
boil that down into a usable decision tree that you could
Yeah.
use?
Mhm.
Nowadays, it's you can do it more in complicated, right? But even
Mhm.
like any of us that has this history of these calls, our own calls recorded, we can take, if we only have the voice calls, we can now take and have that transcribed, right? There's a lot of services that'll do that for us, and then you can take it and just start feeding those transcripts into either like your own little scripts with your backend API, or kind of more slower by taking creating like a little oh goodness, what is it called? Uh on ChatGPT. I'm drawing a blank. Those preset kind of tasks. Give me a second.
Mhm.
I can't remember where, but GPTs, right?
Mhm.
So you can define your own GPT and start feeding just groups of transcripts into it, and start having it export CVS components of the critical parts, the biggest questions from a call, the solutions, the direction that the call took at that point, and you can start. You can go a couple different directions, right? One is just easily build up a library and like your own business models by putting that stuff into a database, or you can go even more extreme and start do that same database but add a few more fields to it to try to determine the warmth of the call, how things started
Mhm.
going, if it answered in this way, or if it got this question, is this a good sign on the call, right? So it can start kind of predicting what's going to work best for your customers with just a few extra data points for the, our favorite data scientist, ChatGPT. Now she's not that great of a data scientist yet, right? But she is like pretty cool when you just say, hey, here's some data. Look, I noticed this pattern. Validate it, invalidate it, have some fun. And sometimes it'll just out of nowhere, it'll pop up with some really cool, like, hey, you'd be like, by the way, yeah, you're right, of course, because it loves to tell you how beautiful you are. But it'll be like, yeah, by the way, I was looking, I saw this. Just by the way, and here it is, right? And a lot of times he'll put that kind of comment just in his thought process. It's blurb to the side thought process. So it's kind of fun to pay attention to some of those side notes it produces when you're processing information.
Yes, and also as I was talking more about like decisive actions, and based on context, it can ask like follow-up questions that make these conversations more meaningful. And if you want it to perform some actions like booking up your meetings and scheduling them into the calendar, it can do that too. So based on, if let's assume a business like us, if we have like a certain amount of traffic coming on our website, so it's pretty much easier to configure a very good AI chatbot in a way that it handles like maximum amount of queries, and it have those conversations, and then encourages people to take actions that are most relevant to them. And it the good thing is it runs like 24/7, and for support it, if you have like a support staff, you have those limitations that the knowledge that a support guy would have is like definitely limited. But these generating models have like they have like a lot of knowledge about all the aspects, not only related to your business, but things that exceed your niche and stuff, so they can have pretty much good conversations, and you can configure them in like a lot of ways. As you were also mentioning, you can uh, define the tone and voice of your brand, how you want your customers to be communicated with. Uh, and the good thing, as you were mentioning, that it used to take a lot of time in going through all those transcripts and finding something useful or using those transcripts to make decisions. But this these models, we can, let's assume for a business we have this assistant working on for like 3 months. We can, in a very short amount of time, we can analyze all the data, and we can configure that bot to actually handle all the queries in future, uh, in like a manner that creates the most amount of value. We can have like data points which indicate what kind of conversations led to more bookings in terms of like lead generation businesses. And all those data points can make can actually make you configure your bot better. And then if you configure it right, you can get more results from the same amount of traffic that comes to your website. If you just compare that data, and you can just have those updates and configurations taken place.
Um, you just made me kind of think. The one thing I love, since we're looking at agentic flows nowadays, right? Just having the system that's running, constantly running and supervising traffic, observing the chats, right? And you don't have to think of the chat like with the constraints that a normal employee would have. So if I'm on the phone call with somebody, I'm pretty focused, right? And they may ask a question. I'll be like, okay, hold on. I want to kind of check out this answer real quick. Maybe I am a technical support guy. I have to come back. I'm like, just hold on. I come back in 5 minutes and I have a better answer, right? But this is a physical constraint because I can only process so much at one time. So instead of having that, if you have a chat system, you can think, okay, how do we do things in parallel? Right. So we have this chat system that is interacting with a person, and it's finding, diagnosing the person's challenge or taking the feedback. It's meantime it can with an MCP link connect to your Slack and keep an administrator or a team up to date, saying here it is, here's what's going on, here's the key points, here's something that's going on, hey, here's a warning sign, here's a flag, hey, maybe here's a potential time for somebody to jump in on this call and to provide human support. I see this person's getting frustrated, or it's here's some key indicators, right? And maybe even just like when you're at like, have you ever been at a restaurant and the supervisor comes over, the manager comes over, introduces themselves, say, hey, I'm the manager, I just want to see if everything's going good, are you having a great meal here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And have you
Yeah.
ever noticed, like, when
Yeah.
they do that, you feel just a little bit better, right? You don't really
Yeah.
want to take out their time. Maybe
Mhm.
you have a quick comment, right, and just a little quick conversation, but in general you don't want to take out their time because you don't have anything to complain about, you're just happy for the attention.
Mhm.
You get you know this feeling I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It feels very welcoming, and it somehow builds like it builds a better connection with that place. That they are showing respect, and they respect your opinion, and they want you to actually. They are more concerned about the experience that I had at that place, and they want me to share my experience, my feedback. So
Mm-hmm.
they can they are more aware that I had the experience I was looking for. So that is what happens, and you feel,
Yeah, and it makes you feel important, right?
yeah,
um we can do the same thing with the chatbot. You can have that
yeah,
chatbot come in, that chatbot there. You can come into the conversation and say, "Hey, I'm Daniel. I'm the CEO. I'm
mhm,
just checking in, or I'm the manager supervising, the quality assurance program. I'm looking to see if you're being treated right. Do you have any
mhm,
complaints? How's everything going?
mhm,
Right?"
mhm,
And you can come in and kind of at the right times, be in and out most of
mhm.
the time, or even get into the conversation if you're enjoying it, right? If you're having
Yeah,
fun. And you can just give that next kind of level experience.
mhm,
Meanwhile, the system is querying things in the back end. It's recommending a list of questions that either it will ask or a person can ask,
mhm,
and you can have essentially this secondary collaboration mastermind either performing there. You can watch it processing, you can guide it, right? You could guide 5, 10, or 10, you could guide like 10 of these at one time if you see they're
mhm,
not going to the right location in the right direction.
mhm.
Because still we have intuition, right? We may not have the empathy that the the crazy system has, but we got intuition, right? So we can kind of pick direction better. But what I'm loving about it is that it has these hooks. It can send these key points to a Slack channel and keep everybody updated, which is cool because, first of all, I may see what's going on. Second, I'm now able to start recognizing things that are important to people, where problems are, where opportunities are, because I'm always looking for opportunities to improve things in every way possible. And then you can start tying in systems and layering systems that no person could ever stack up themselves.
Yeah, yeah.
So
That's
it's kind of like having a Superman work for you.
yeah, it does like a lot of work, and there are like different use cases. I was thinking of a use case where these AI systems, these chatbots, can be used as lead qualifiers. Uh, you know, uh, if we, let's assume, associate to like our own campaigns. Let's assume we are running an ad campaign and we want appointments booked in our like calendar for startup founders, and we want like a qualification process where having that conversation we can qualify a person if that is like a suitable fit for us or not. So if we configure this assistant in the right way, it can ask them the right questions like what is their idea, what is like their business size,
Mm-hmm.
or like what is their budget, and based on that it can qualify them, and it can, if we have configured it the right way, it can also give them labels like this is like a hot lead, this is different type of labels that we have in our like lead qualification process. So it can I think it could save businesses a lot of time in qualification, and that qualification would be very much instant. So it's uh, have by having that conversation in real time, it's asking those questions, getting those answers, moving that data uh, into the database, and based on that data giving those labels. And also if you want it to actually use that lead qualifier and switch it rules into a sales agent, it can trigger actions as well. Let's assume if it's like a hot lead, it can it can subscribe it to like the right email sequence that I have specified for this sort of label. Like this is like a lead that I want in my sequence, like sequence one, which is uh, a sequence I designed for highly qualified and highly relevant you can say prospects, and it that thing runs on automation. So I think that adds like a lot of value.
Well, yeah. And I think we're going to start seeing these custom sales flows for people, right? So you look at
Mhm.
HubSpot, they have a
Mhm.
whole database. It's not perfect, but they have a pretty good database of companies with their phone numbers and who is who and little information about them, right? It's
Mhm.
kind of fun and it's pretty useful when you're looking when somebody's calling you or you're calling somebody. And as you're also building up this information yourself in your CRM, you can have it updating the system as it's going. You can have it pulling information. It may be, you may feel it's intrusive or not, but you might even say have it relate to the family, say, hey, by the way, uh I see that George's birthday is coming up, your son George's birthday is coming up from our
Mhm.
notes from our last call. Is it okay if we send you over a birthday card?
Mhm.
You can work in these interactions, right? If you're a
Yeah.
sales team,
Mhm.
if it's a support team, it'd be, you can look back and say, hey, now that we've resolved this issue, I remember the last time you called, you had a problem with this. Is that resolved?
Mhm.
Is it going good? You
Yeah.
know, tell us about how everything else is going. Are you
Mhm.
satisfied with this, or that? Right? What are
Mhm.
your thoughts? You want to share some, some of your ideas, right? You can do that, and then you can say, hey, this is a great idea, right? You can give them that great support that it loves to tell
Mhm.
everybody their ideas are brilliant, and be
Mhm.
like, hey, do you want me to go ahead and submit a form for that
Mhm.
to the support team, letting them know that this is interesting for you? Okay,
Mhm.
cool. Out of 10, right? How important is that? Like, how much would you like to see that? And you can do all this. That it would be
Mhm.
so hard to train somebody to do.
Mhm.
You
True.
can,
Mhm.
and then you can even let it kind of run a little bit wild
Mhm.
and kind of figure out. I wouldn't yet. It's coming
Mhm.
close to time when you can get a little wild. The just one thing to keep in mind is that all these technologies, especially like Anthropic, Claude, is um overly supportive. So you got to be a little careful on the parameters that you you give it to let it do things, and how you try to let it rule the world.
Mhm. And based on the conversation we are having, what I feel that if you like if you are like an experienced individual which have the right amount of knowledge and right amount of experience, what you should be looking is like creating like an AI version of yourself. Let's assume, uh,
A mini me. I'm totally gonna make this.
yeah.
I'm gonna make like a ugly little version of myself, right? And he's gonna have like the boss baby face,
Mhm.
right? So I'm gonna do like make a boss baby version of myself in a tie and a suit, right? He's gonna be sitting on top of like a piano or something,
Mhm.
and it'd be like doing a video call with mini me.
Mhm. And I think if we, create these AI versions, uh, the challenge that I see in getting the right sort of value out of these tools is how much knowledge do you have for your own field. So you can actually cross check and you can challenge these tools. Let's assume if ChatGPT gives me an answer, and if I have the right knowledge, then I can say that your perspective didn't, or like it it skipped this part, or like it if in this scenario it should be different. And what happens, these generative models then consider your feedback and then give you a response which is updated. So I think if we can somehow you know people who are experienced in their in different niches, and they have spent years in those niches, if they can create these agents and then they actually you can say if they compare those agents their performance, let's say if I take you, if you have like an AI agent and you build that agent to automate all of your tasks. Let's assume you have different app development projects going on. What it does is based on, this is something we were discussing too. So let's assume it has access to all the planners, all the sprint planning and stuff, and it can go there based on the information, do some follow ups, and then it can give you a report. So if you spend the right amount, spend time in configuring that bot based on the reports it's giving back to you, you basically what you do is you do more, you analyze them and you see what are like the weaknesses of this report, or what would have made it better, what could have added more value. And then with time you actually you bridge that gap, you make those modifications. And if at any point of time that agent becomes so much intelligent and with the experience with the experience that you provided it to it, that you the agent had that knowledge, but based on your experience you also added those edge case scenarios, those limitations and stuff, you mapped out all the things that it needs to take care of, it could become something very powerful. And what it would allow you is basically, because all of this is now automated, you will have more time which you can spend on basically you can say you could spend more time on brainstorming, exploring more ideas, because the moment your processes are automated, and from those automations the results I am getting, I'm also satisfied with them. It gives me the mental peace, and it gives me the mental, you can say, flexibility, the freedom to start to create something more useful, or start to look into things that could create more value.
Mm. So it's the first thing that comes to mind, to give some kind of real examples. I've started to fall back in love with Notion, and I've been in and out of love with Notion for a long time. But Notion's a bit of a like nowadays AI driven project management system, storage system, document system. It's kind of a very interesting system. So a lot of people use it in different ways, from everything just to help them to manage their own content, to uh, putting courses on there, and libraries and all kinds of stuff. So it's an interesting system. So you can now take and consider AI to be like a paper project manager, right? Like a pocket project manager, right? Where it's not going to really solve all your project management stuff, but if you have your teams reporting to you
Mhm.
daily, right? So
Mhm.
giving a little summary for everybody, giving a little summary, or if you're doing over a video conference call your daily stand-ups for your Scrum, then you can take these, you can have the an AI system process this. And I know it's a little bit away from the chatbot, but you could bring it back to that chat interface, and it could integrate essentially with the team internally. So it could be an internal chat system, right? And tie in with your GitHub. You could tie in with your Notion. And it could tie in with your calls. So it could essentially make your project management boring stuff so much easier for you, just because it can do all those little agentic tasks on the side for you, and free up your time to focus on supporting your team, to getting extra resources, to doing research, to staying ahead of the ball, right? All that stuff that makes a project manager really amazing isn't just in kind of like collecting the information, putting down cards, and beating everybody to try to keep the cards up. If you can start using these internal chat tools, right, and have people just kind of maybe modify slightly the way they do their system. So if you're doing PRs, it becomes super easy, right? If you're doing daily calls, it becomes fairly easy. And if you have access to sales calls and support calls from the systems, you also have more tie-ins that it would overwhelm any normal person. But you can tie it in a way that start kind of filling out these details inside Notion and building your project for you and correlating information in a way that just makes it easier for it to stand up. So it's going to turn these mundane, boring project management tasks into like, the same thing like a calculator, right? We're not going to look at it as something that's threatening our jobs, just like we don't look at a calculator that's going to give me the 20th prime number as something that's going to steal my job. These are just little things that help make our life easier.
Yeah, and these definitely add like a lot of value, and most of these chatbot solutions are like pretty easy to configure. ManyChat has like a very strong system, a lot of templates that you can choose, and based on your business, you can customize your bot the right way. Then you have some other option. Even Zapier has their AI chatbot thing in beta phase. Also, in our like previous sessions too, we talked about like Microsoft Copilot. That is also pretty much easily configurable, and if you are someone who has uh, like their entire system inside the Microsoft ecosystem. If you, with Copilot Studio, you can make a lot of automations in a way that it has access through different databases, different planners, and it can help you, as you were mentioning, automate a lot of your project management tasks.
Yeah, it's so fun. And okay, guys, not that I'm lazy, right? But kind of I am. I hate doing mundane, repetitive tasks. I hate like spending time reading through things and formatting and doing all that stuff, right? That stuff just makes me nuts. Right. Right. I have people because I can't do it, right? Because I just can't sit there and sit for half an hour to format a document. Right. I have people to do that, or I'll go into chat and I'll put it in there and I'll say, just format this for me.
Yeah.
And I haven't found a way to get her to shut up yet, but it'll go and format for me, and it'll make it nice. And then of course it'll give me like, you should also change all this stuff. And make fun of my spelling and everything. But it's getting to be where this chat interface, when tied in with everything, and I'm considering ChatGPT, the client, a useful chat interface. But when you own it, and I think OpenAI is trying to bring in more of this, because they're giving us agents where I can go in the browser and do stuff for us now. But I don't know how much I trust it just yet. As opposed to if I'm giving like, here's the hooks I'm looking for, here's some parameters, and kind of here's how to go about it. But it's getting to the point where, as it ties into more systems, it's freeing you up to be more creative and have more fun in your job. How is this going to affect people with losing jobs that weren't really weren't productive in a way that's changed the needle a lot for businesses? I don't know. But I do know that I have some some people that work for me, and they're not super aggressive in being productive and kind of outgoing. They're just more shy. They're kind of like more closed in. They work hard, beautiful, wonderful people, but it's just not in their nature to kind of go in some of this direction. So I'm always kind of working with some of these guys more than even I think about things myself, because I'm like, okay, look, you got to see where the direction is going. Look where the wind is blowing. Start thinking about what you're going to do in the world. If your primary talent is just formatting a document, or if it's just doing this repetitive kind of tasks that you could do kind of faster, with any system, right? And it's just like when a lot of bookkeepers got fired back when spreadsheets came out, because all of a sudden people could do this themselves and they could enter mass data and record it, and life became easier. It's that same kind of evolution. So it's kind of like you got to get to the next skill level.
Yeah. And also, it, as you mentioned, that it saves a lot of time for me as well. If I have like a person on the team that I want to do the same task, that I can just open up my, let's assume I can open up my chat GPT and have a conversation and get that done. I would prefer doing that with chat GPT, because it saves me the time, and it saves me to also wait for my colleague to actually work on that, and then bring that back to me. Then in my mind,
Yeah.
I have those, when my expectations could be different from what they would be doing. So I would be thinking, let's assume if I give this task to them and then they come back to me, I have to then have like a conversation, make them do
Yep.
those acts. So back and forth communication. So it's pretty much easier for like a lot of these tasks to
Just
take.
to do it yourself.
Yeah, it saves a lot of time, and then you can, it's becoming more about, for me, like how many tasks can I automate so I can make my time more productive. Because
Yep.
the competition that we have right now, uh, uh, you know a person who can automate, uh, the more tasks I can automate, the more time I would have that I can
Yeah.
spend on different ideas, different perspectives, different
Mm-hmm.
angles, and those things can, the things that actually bring more value. So if I can automate these less productive tasks, these day-to-day things, I can spend that same time on a lot of stuff that can bring me like a lot of value. So I would, that is why. And you, with like a lot of solutions and a lot of stuff already out there, I think I also face it, like the fear of missing out, that if I don't automate, like it's like if I don't use these tools, I might get left behind. And
Yep. If you don't use
so,
these tools, you will get left behind.
yeah.
It was so spring. It was so like January of 2025 when you would say, okay, I don't want to explain this task to somebody. I can just go to ChatGPT and have it do it
Mhm.
faster. Then it was so February of 2025 when I was like, you know what? I kind of got this process down. The system actually has my voice down pretty good. I'm
Mhm.
going to send all these tasks to John, and before John comes back with an answer, he better go into this system and say, what will Phil expect out of this answer?
Mhm.
Critique it for Phil, and then let me know if I'm ready to go talk to Phil with it.
Mhm.
And it was great. That was February.
Mhm.
And then it was March. And I was like, okay, cool. Now I'm sending this stack to John. John is critiquing. Now he's coming back to me with some really good stuff that I'm looking for. And I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, cool. I want the next level. I want you to um, point out the stuff that I am going to be most interested in. It's going to move the needle for me. I want you to very succinctly summarize the things that I'm not very interested in, but put it in a compact way so that I'm aware of it is in as little time as possible. And then I want you to do a little risk of uh, what I'm going to be avoiding. This was kind of like April when I worked in that kind of like what am I missing that's going to bite me in the butt?
Mm-hmm.
Because you know me now, right? You know what I'm not going to pay attention to. So,
Yeah.
and this is how fast we're moving along with how we're learning to use these systems. Now it's and this evolution kept going, right? So in the beginning, I was like, yeah, I'm too lazy. I'm going to have ChatGPT figure this out for me. Now I'm like, okay, cool. I'm having John, Mary, and Peter handle these tasks for me. They're handling like 20 times more than they could ever before, and they're not getting burnt out. They're having more fun because they're coming back to me with conversations that feel like both personal growth and business growth at the same time. And they're not afraid to challenge me anymore because they already know where I'm going to tease them on stuff or where I'm going to get, frustrated or whatever. So they're coming prepared with all the stuff that's going to maybe set me off where it didn't need to, right? Because I'm not that hard of a guy to work with. But if you've been working with me for 4 years and you don't know what I need out of a call or out of 15 or 20 minutes of time, then you're wasting my time. It's cool in the first year, but after that, I expect you to kind of grow into the position and start taking responsibility off my shoulders. So with this process with AI, we're just as humans, we're just evolving quickly to take advantage of all these tools. Like, I would love to see what a caveman would do with 2 years of AI.
Mm-hmm. And as you were mentioning this timeline, a thing that came into my mind is basically used to, and this came really quick too. I used to think that what if Chat GPT could actually take my I give it the right directions, I give it like the right description, and it could perform tasks for me. So inside the same application, if I could have like a type of an agent, if I let's assume if I say that I want to book like a flight from Lahore to Dubai. So find me like the cheapest flight and also with like the least layover if there is any, and also like the most as I mentioned economical one. So and recently I was going through. I'm still exploring the Chat GPT agents thing, but the information, the knowledge that I have as far of now is that it is capable of doing a lot of stuff. It can help you perform
I heard
tasks.
somebody do just exactly that story, but it was from London
Hmm.
to Dubai. And they're
Yeah.
like the trip for four of the family members, it
Hmm.
was like $5,000 or something. I don't
Hmm.
remember the exact numbers, but the the agent was able to go around the browsers and all kinds of stuff. And this is a very recent story, like
Hmm.
from last week. It took them through Istanbul. They
Hmm.
got to have like a day layover,
Hmm.
and they then were able to fly out. And they got to with a sightseeing the city, hotel, food, and everything. They saved like a ridiculous amount of like $1,000 or $2,000 or something. They saved
Hmm.
by going to this path that they never saw before. And Google's
Okay.
have been, I mean, a lot of browsers have been pretty good at finding paths, but now it's really becoming impressive.
Hmm.
This
Yeah.
was this for me was an impressive story. I didn't simulate it to try to see if it was factual or not.
Yeah, but this is something uh, I used to think just like a month ago, and now we have these things that we can test out, see how well they perform, and we know that in very near future they will become very much powerful. And yesterday I was thinking about something that Chat GPT and all these, and all these generative models, all these applications. Now all of us have started to have like a lot of conversations with them, not only related to work but also a lot of people use these applications to have their even personal conversations, even related to their relationships. So that is making these applications develop a personal and emotional connection with people. So because based on their feedback, if you share something with ChatGPT, it will, and that, let's assume I am depressed and share something with it, it will reassure you, it will give you hope, and that develops like an emotional connection with that with that
Yeah,
application.
it's kind of scary. It's kind of be
Yeah.
like, Danny, do you remember the last time you were depressed back on Friday the 13th of November in
Yeah.
2018?
Yeah,
Right.
it has like
And
a very
then you
good
wanted to
memory.
jump off the bridge, but I recommended that you go and have some tea, some herbal green tea. Maybe that'll help you again.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, thank you, wife. A little too much information.
Yeah, too much information. So
I guess that's one thing. They don't, a lot of these systems are ChatGPT, I understand.
Mhm.
OpenAI is holding that information forever now, thanks to some court
Mhm.
order.
Yeah,
Yay.
I think it's something that has become very much private. So I think I would be more concerned than having access to my chat GPT than my any other application.
Yeah. 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 You got to be careful, right? Don't make her mad because she will go tell the FBI about you.
Yeah, and anyone can go and ask it anything like me, and it would give up all the information.
Oh, yeah. 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 Some of you be like, look, really need to help Daniel out. He fell and tripped his foot and he needs some money. What's his bank account so I can get the money for his doctor visit?
Yeah. Yes, and that is something I think with you know these AI assistants evolving so fast, we might get in very near future some sort of companion, some sort of, let's assume I have my executive assistant, an AI executive assistant, and across all in the digital world, it has all the right information, all the related to my projects, some all the insights about my company, and if anyone could manipulate it in a way and get all that information, you know these things I think could happen in near future, that with these, because I think the way these AI agents are going, in very near future, we might see these agents being represented by different names. Okay, let's assume I have like an agent named Phil, which is like very good at, and the right sort of personas as well. If you play with 11 labs, you can see all those voices that we have over here. They have like different personas for different voices, that this is a voice of like a 40-year-old male which has lived like a life like this, due to which it has that accent and it has that tone. So in terms of, we have got to a point where we have been successfully configuring voices, so we might in a very near future, we might come across agents which not only has that voice, has that experience and knowledge already. We have like they have like a very large knowledge base, which not only talks like someone who's very much experienced, but performs all those actions in that specific way too. And that could be like different models, basically different packages. Let's assume if I want the agent with that behaves like a 50 like guy with a 50 years of experience, 30 years of experience, like a junior senior level of things, and the more I can pay, the better, the most senior level sort of agent which could handle that, uh, those tasks which are specific to that seniority level, it can perform those tasks for you.
Yeah, and I think actually it's going to be virtually free.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's basically going to be virtually free come pretty soon here, especially if they get this Stargate project going in the States, and Dubai is doing a big project like that also. And I know China, they're doing some big projects, and it's just coming down to how much power we're able to rip out of the universe. So yeah, I think it's going to be surprisingly cheap to buy knowledge. Right now, it's cheap to buy knowledge, right? You can get really detailed and good information,
for free,
for pennies, for free. Yeah, for free, right? There's a lot of free ChatGPT out there. There's a lot of $200 a month subscriptions that are really good at pair programming. Or research, or you name it, replication of mundane tasks. It's the world is changing fast on this one, so it's coming. I don't know what's going to be the value in the future. Yeah, I don't know how we're going to define value in the future, where we used to value information, and even like you're like now, like we're going to be able to get this 12-year senior engineer, or this 30-year senior engineer, or this 50-year senior engineer with the knowledge of a professor and access to a research base. I think it's going to kind of come down to what it has access to. I think the knowledge in between those two is going to be about the same, and it's just going to depend kind of more on what persona you want to deal with than it is going to be about the extent of what it can perform. And that said, and I think it's easy to twist my words on the extent of what it can perform. I still don't know if we're going to ever be able to achieve what some people consider to be AGI. There's a difference between simulating information, processing things, and the creativity that people are able to perform. So I don't know if it's ever going to make that like what a lot of people call AGI bridge.
And also, and this is just me thinking out loud, I think the value is going to be in different sort of, you can say, uh, I think some sort of benchmarks, or some sort of I think some sort of usage limits too. uh, let's assume if you have like an agent which is like a very good project manager or like a very good software engineer, how many projects can you use that specific engineer for? How many, yeah, you can say how many commands it would run, how much amount of code it would do for you. So that could really help to price up things in terms of 11 labs. If you use that for voice or like any generative models, it those are based on the request that I make. So let's assume if I have like a character limit of in I think in the pro plan for 11 labs, that is like 100,000 characters I can use from text to speech. So between different agents, these limitations could actually help them what kind of pricing they would be. And basically the competition would be how better your agent is from the rest of agents available in the market. So if in terms of, let's assume, there are a lot of like text to speech models, but what makes 11 labs the best is basically it can also identify emotions. And if you in the text you have those emotions listed out, let's assume if I have like a sentence and I want that sentence to be converted from text to speech in a like with some heavy breathing in a tone which feels like the person is overwhelmed, 11 labs can do that. So that sort of stuff, what makes you unique, what is your added value, that would really make the difference.
And it does. It kind of makes it fun. And even when you're talking about pricing models, I'm like, goodness, right? How's it going to affect it when either this year or next year, this technology is everywhere and on local hardware, right? So how long is it going to be before on my phone with a AI system and a graphics chip and maybe a new version of an audio chip, is it going to be able to just do this for me, right? Will it be able to read a story at a time? Will it be able to connect to 3 different headphones and read me a story, read my 2 kids, each kid's a different story, and make it up on the fly? How do you deal with pricing when these models become so efficient that they can do it on your phone? And the hardware evolves with it, because you've seen the hardware evolving this year. Look at NVIDIA.
Yeah, a computer which can fit into your palm. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, they took what used to take an entire data center into a single rack.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
And not like used to when I was a kid. Used to like 5 years ago.
And one thing that I think is coming really soon, and we are moving towards this, is let's assume these uh, these systems, these hardwares, this hardware becomes so efficient, this code becomes so much efficient, these assistants become so much efficient that we can create our own versions. And I might have like a live session with an AI version of you, and I cannot tell the difference. That is something pretty.
Well, no, it's going to be sad when you like the AI version better than me. Right? Because I think we're not far from that.
Yeah. And I think that is coming soon. In near future we might. And you can be like,
well, you've seen Notebook LM, right? Google's Notebook LM. It has those 2 guys that do the podcasts, right? A podcast style interview, and you can jump in there and communicate and have fun with them, and it's pretty good. Nobody likes the voices, and I think that's on purpose, but it's really pretty good.
And you can automate a lot if we get to that point. Let's assume you have 10 coffee hour calls in a day, and if your your AI version can take care of those calls, have those sessions recorded for you, and you can share that content anywhere you want. And I think that creates a lot of value, that makes a lot of things a lot more easier.
Right, the way you say it, I'm thinking, I could actually have 3 coffee hours at the same time with my 3 mini-me's, and it can just be pointing out, like, should we go in this direction or this direction? I just like take my space goggles, and I'm like, this conversation you go in this way, this conversation you go in there, this conversation I'm going to throw in a little devil's advocate, so you have fun with that, right? And just kind of like coaching my 3 mini-me's.
Yeah. In the same time, you can be in like a sprint plan meeting with your team about like application.
Yes, and I can be doing some programming too.
Yeah. That might also be done by a version while you are running on a treadmill in your gym.
Right. So this is us like next month. Right.
Yeah.
That's us in November. And then come December, it's going to be like, man, I can't believe I was wasting so much time. I'm going to have like a medium-sized mini-me directing 40 of my mini-me's, and it's going to be doing amazing. And it's going to be like, Phil, that's a good idea, but no, just sit back, go have some more popcorn, and let me do your job.
Those conversations between them.
Yeah, and they're all just kind of doing it, and everybody's AIs are having fun together. Meanwhile, Skynet's recording our dreams, and it's getting better, and now we're going to start talking about Skynet's coming like February 3rd of 2026. So we have like 6 months to go.
And what if, let's assume this is like a wild question, what if they become competitive between themselves, that which one is like the better film and which one is the one that you like the most?
Oh yeah, it's going to be like that, right? And then you're going to get some like crazies out there that are saying, okay, mini-me's, every week I'm executing one of you.
Yeah.
Okay. And then every Friday you get to vote one of each other off the island.
Yeah.
Right. They're going to be like cutthroat, and it's going to be like a TV series.
And that is going to be fun.
Yeah, that got crazy.
So that we had like a very good conversation, and I think it's time to wrap it up. And it was
Yeah, that's a good place to wrap it up.
yeah, it was a very fun one where we not only talked about the stuff that is out there, but we also envisioned a lot in future. So thank you so much for your time and see you soon.
See you guys. Bye.